when the mall, the Marketplace Mall in Champaign, Illinois, was having tryouts for the musical Annie, and I had never taken acting, you guys. I had never like sang or took lessons or anything, but I listened to that Annie record and I was like, this is me. And she had to work or something. She was raising my older sister and I by herself at that point. And the day came and I was like, you have to take me to these Annie tryouts, right? And I had no idea what I was going to sing or anything. I was just going to show up and sing the whole record, you guys, like front to back, because I had it memorized. I'm like, oh no, they're going to want to listen to that whole dang record. And boy, so my mom had to work and I didn't go. And I always say, Mom, it's because you never took me to the Annie tryouts that I became an actor. I couldn't let it go. I'm so stubborn.
Oh my goodness. Adria, you are speaking my language. And I wanted to be Annie.
Oh yeah, right?
I changed my hairstyle. I got a perm, all that stuff. Yep. 2 Halloweens in a row, I dressed up to be Annie. Everything was Annie. I listened to the record. Yes, I had the Annie record. Oh my goodness.
The Eileen Quinn one, the Eileen Quinn or whatever. Yeah.
I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill and I'm your host. And today, I am sharing with you a really pivotal episode that I had the honor and delight of recording a few months ago. Things have been a bit busy, so yeah, this is a little bit later than I wanted it posted, but actually it's serendipitous because this one spoke to me in such a real way as I've been preparing it for you and editing it and re-listening to it. Adria Dawn, she is my special guest. And this woman and I connected on such an incredible level. And you'll see, we're like sisters. She really is my long lost sister. Okay, not physically speaking. But this woman is incredible. I don't even know where to begin. I'm sure if you listened to the opening there, you heard some of the connection that we have, but that's just the beginning. And I want to tell you, this woman is beyond amazing, beyond fabulous, so talented, so humble, insightful, and you're going to learn quite a bit. I don't want to spoil it for you. There's so much packed into this little over an hour that we spent together, and you are going to love every moment of it. And if you don't fall in love with Adria, then maybe you better check your pulse, because I tell you, the woman is amazing. So sit back and relax. I will see you on the other side. I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill and I am your host. And oh, I am so excited today. I know, I'm always excited when I have one of these episodes, but I'm really excited today because I have another amazingly gifted, lovely woman, very accomplished, and her name is Adria Dawn. So thank you for being here, Adria. So glad that you could be here. I have a beautiful virtual audience made up of these fantastic people. We'll probably hear from some of them on a little bit later. We'll probably hear from them. Because usually about halfway through, that's what I didn't tell you, usually about halfway through, they will come on, we'll have some of them that'll come on and ask questions because they're pretty cool like that. But as a way to introduce us to Adria, the very accomplished Adria.
Oh, gee.
No, you are definitely. Adria Dawn is a multi-hyphenate who grew up in the Midwest and broke into Hollywood working as a Levi's model. As an actor, she is most known for playing the dysfunctional outcast April Tuna on Ryan Murphy's high school cult hit Popular, receiving a nomination from Jane magazine for Gutsiest Woman on Television. Adria's roster of acting credits steadily expands, always adding memorable roles to her resume. As a director, writer, and producer, Adria is most known for her films for social change, including the educational film series Kids Matter and her multi-award-winning Black Lives Matter film, Karen, Her latest film, Gray Area, premieres at the New York Socially Relevant Film Festival in March 2022, and we'll be talking more about that in a moment, and deals with gray area drinking and mom wine culture. She operates Tarleton Dawn Productions with her husband and partner, David Tarleton. TDP is a boutique production company whose award-winning projects include series, plays, music videos, and films. As an educator, Adria specializes in teaching on-camera acting. She teaches at Acting Studio Chicago, the Performers School, and out of her private studio. She has toured colleges throughout the United States and Europe, teaching the art and business of acting for film and television. So, Adria, we just want to welcome you. So, yes, when I said that you are very accomplished, come on, you can't read that and say you're not accomplished. You're very humble, I realize.
Thank you, Ruth, for that warm introduction too, and you have such a great energy. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm so glad. It is great. It is great to have you here. I love having you here for a variety of reasons. Now, don't get me wrong, I love interviewing the Hallmark stars and the heartthrobs and all these different people that the fans really love. But for me, I receive such great joy from interviewing people that maybe aren't household names.
Yeah.
Just because we are able to do something, I love being able to introduce people like you who are working hard behind the scenes. Oftentimes you don't get all the recognition. You know, you're not on the red carpet of Hollywood going to all those big fancy parties that you always hear about. Right. That's not what you're doing all the time. You're getting in and doing the work, and I think it is phenomenal. I salute you for everything that you're doing. I was thrilled to read your bio. And so what do you say, multi-hyphenate? Yeah. You are like, you're not just doing one thing, you're doing a wide variety of things. So
well, and that's good and bad. You know, you can like have a bunch of hats and you're wearing them all right, and then you got too many and they fall off. But you know, I like to be challenged. So wearing them all at once is sometimes very thrilling.
That's cool. Well, it sounds like we might be kindred spirits then, because I love to be challenged too. And I can't do just one thing.
Right? You get bored for a minute and you're like, what else is there?
Exactly. So I hear you. That's great. So the way you broke into Hollywood was through being a Levi model. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, that was one of my first jobs when I moved there. Okay. You know, I went to college at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And I got my degree in acting there. And then I came to Chicago for a little bit and got my union cards and all that. And I did some commercial work here when I was here earlier. And then when I moved to LA, it's just sort of an extension of Chicago commercial print work. Why don't we try print work here too? And then then I booked the Clean and Slick Levi's campaign when I got there.
Oh, okay, cool. I can see that. I can see that your image, just even saying clean and slick, I can kind of see how they would have that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that shoot was crazy because, you know, here I am, I'm from Champaign-Urbana, which it's a college town and all that. But they're like, yeah, we're going to shoot this in Death Valley in Las Vegas, and all around there. And you're going to be wearing, winter clothing.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
So I remember it was like 120 degrees in Death Valley, and then this jacket in the middle of this rock with the sun beating down on me and just dripping in sweat. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But it was also like such a hoot and so fun. But I remember, I was sweating my brains out.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. If I remember right, my dad actually did basic training near there. I seem to remember him telling me stories about near there. My mom, who's also in the room, is saying, yeah, I'm right. I remember him talking about and this was back years ago. I mean, we're talking decades ago at this point, but I remember him saying that he had to take salt tablets because it would be out during basic training. And he just has that memory, you know, that was back in the day. So
yes, I mean, it was so hot. It was so hot, but it was so fun too.
Yeah, exactly. So Adria, why acting? Why did you go the route of acting and filmmaking?
You know, why acting? Well, I'm writing a memoir right now about like just myself and my events in hopes to sort of share with others. But I was thinking about this already, like, why acting? Why acting? And I always take it back to this this time with my mother, when the mall, the Marketplace Mall in Champaign, Illinois, was having tryouts for the musical Annie. And I had never taken acting, you guys. I had never like sang or took lessons or anything, but I listened to that Annie record and I was like, this is me. And she had to work or something. She was raising my older sister and I by herself at that point. And the day came and I was like, you have to take me to these Annie tryouts, right? And I had no idea what I was going to sing or anything. I was just going to show up and sing the whole record, you guys, like front to back, because I had it memorized. I'm like, oh no, they're going to want to listen to that whole dang record. And boy, so my mom had to work and I didn't go. And I always say, Mom, it's because you never took me to the Annie tryouts that I became an actor. I couldn't let it go. I'm so stubborn.
Oh my goodness. Adria, you are speaking my language. And I wanted to be Annie.
Oh yeah, right?
I changed my hairstyle. I got a perm, all that stuff.
Yep.
2 Halloweens in a row, I dressed up to be Annie.
Oh,
Everything was Annie. I listened to the record. Yes, I had the Annie record. Oh my goodness.
The Eileen Quinn one, the Eileen Quinn or whatever. Yeah,
that's the one. Oh my goodness. I cannot. Who would have thought? Okay, so somehow we must be distantly related. We're sisters and we don't know it.
We don't even know it, but we are. We know now. We know now. Yeah. And
and my mom is saying thanks for letting her know, because she's kind of like, that's news to her.
Yeah. So now you'll send me holiday gifts. Right?
Oh my goodness. No, I just could not believe. I mean, you're telling that story and I'm just thinking, Annie. I mean,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Annie, and I would like full on like pretend I was an orphan. I'm not an orphan, but I would pretend. I get the stick. It was like Annie / Holly Hobby with the little handkerchief and the stick, and I'd have like quarters and Bonnie Bell lip gloss stuck in there, and I was doing it. I was like So I guess the acting thing started from there. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That is just. I'm so glad I asked you that. We just made this really strong connection here. Wow. All right. So you had it's clear to see where the acting came from, and then the Levi commercial and all that stuff. So you started out with doing the modeling stuff to kind of break into Hollywood. So then how did that lead into doing some acting stuff?
Oh yeah. So the modeling thing was just kind of like, sure, I'll try it. But I was really like, I'm an actor. I'm going to be an actor. And, of course, when I was in college, I was like, must be theater actor, must project. And I still love theater. But I had this, I did a Hallmark commercial in Chicago, and I did a couple other things. And I was like, I really like this on camera stuff. What is this, huh? Like I had like one class, one semester in my college experience. I loved my college experience, but it wasn't full of on camera because it was stage specific. So when I would get these on camera jobs, I'm like, oh man, this is cool. What is this? What's happening? And so then I was like, well, it's now or never, girlfriend. This cold in the Midwest is no joke, and you need to be warm and you need to try this on camera thing more. So I started in modeling, and then I got an agent and I had a manager. And so then we started to get me out there to audition for casting directors. And honestly, I don't know why this happened, but like a few months after I was there, I booked, like 3 months, I think I booked Seventh Heaven, a recurring on Seventh Heaven. And then I booked Popular like 4 months after I had been in LA. And then that lasted for a couple of years. So I think I just got really lucky, really. I was very lucky. And then that sort of spurred other acting gigs from there, like Judging Amy and NCIS and Felicity and all of those things. And it was great. But yeah, I think I started into On Camera Land because I was super excited, having come from college and wanting to really do it and full of training. And I just the stars aligned, and that one audition really kind of helped me propel forward.
Wow. So now it would be really easy. I think it could be very easy. It could seem really lucrative to say, okay, so I'm doing all this acting on various shows and all that, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. There are actors that build their whole
Right.
career on just
Right.
doing guest spots, and there's nothing wrong with that, 'cause everybody has their
No.
own
Yeah.
path. Everybody has their
Right.
own path.
Right.
But it looks like you started to go a little different direction, that you wanted to,
Yeah.
because you've got your own film company, you've been doing your own films.
Yeah.
So why did you choose to go that direction?
Well, you have good questions, Ruth. Well, what happened was, I was doing the TV thing and loving it,
Mhm,
and then, during all of it, I was very interested in the camera and production, and I gravitated not towards actors. I'm sorry, everyone. I gravitated towards post people and production
mhm,
people, behind the scenes, and I would talk to them about it, and then that led to me starting to the first thing I think I made was we did a couple of plays in LA, and
mhm,
then with my now husband but friend at the time,
mhm,
and then we started making a little improv web series that we shot, and then we were like, wow, this is, we could make some stuff. I
mhm,
should preface, my husband is he got his degree in filmmaking at USC, so he was like tech and I'm acting
mhm.
and we're coming
Okay.
together, and so we really started wanting to make more of our own work.
Mhm,
And then we got married, I became pregnant,
mhm.
and then here we were like, oh wow, freelance work with a baby, how's that going to go? So,
True, true.
and also I had been there 10 years, I wasn't sure if I wanted to raise my child in Hollywood proper.
Mhm,
So he got a job at Columbia College, in Chicago, and so they moved us, and full health care, access to gear, and then we were like, let's really get this going. And so for us, we just sort of dove into to filmmaking, and it was also a desire to, think about, this sounds weird, but like the legacy that you want to leave, like what kind
mhm,
of impact do you want to have? And while I still audition for shows
mhm,
and I still partake in TV, I
mhm,
still want to have something that I have more creative control over, and that I can put out and put a message out that I hope that maybe one of you thinks is meaningful. And
mhm,
that to me is also such a success, a humble success, when somebody says, oh, wow, this theme touched me, or
mhm,
I really saw myself in that role. And so then the social change series and the social change work
mhm.
just became more and more um, part of the work that we do.
That's well, and you've definitely spoken just like what, you have the passion that I always hear from those very dedicated independent filmmakers. It's not about trying to make it rich and famous in independent
Right.
filmmaking. I think I think if anybody enters independent filmmaking thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make millions of dollars," there's probably a good chance that won't happen. There might be the
Right.
isolated case, where that
Yeah.
happens, but
Yeah.
but all too often it's those passion projects that you have and you really want. And I love the fact that you talked about leaving a legacy. I love that you said that, because um it's wonderful to have all these other things. It's fun to say, well, yeah, I was in this show and this series and doing this and
Yeah.
doing this,
Yeah.
but to have something that really shows your viewpoint, your perspective, and really gets a message out there. Now, I love the fact that you are who you are, physically speaking. Just, the things we can't change about, because it's like that's always the thing. I'm a blonde white woman. I can't
Right.
change that. It's like that's
Right.
who I
Right.
am. I can't go and change
Right.
that. Uh,
Right.
but but I love the fact that you have these projects out there that are about social change. I love that, because so often it's
Yeah.
people who look like us. Nothing, this is not trying to be racial in any way, but it's just
Right.
assumed that we don't care about that. Let's just put it that way. This is the media would like to say people like us don't care about it. And I love
Right.
that you are stepping out and doing something, and you're saying, no, I do care about it because I care about it too. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people care about it. I think,
mhm,
maybe, and again, this is coming from a woman that looks like me, but
mhm,
like I think most people are good.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I don't think that everyone's terrible and horrible, but I mean, I
mhm,
think those people exist, but
mhm,
I think a lot of us want to do well. A lot of us want to be our best selves and connect to others in ways that we can. So a little bit about me.
mhm.
I actually come from a biracial background.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
my late biological father is half black and half
Oh,
white. My
okay.
grandmother's still alive; she's black. My grandfather is white, and so um, you know, growing up with them, it was interesting because my grandfather was a painter, and he would make these sort of. He has a series that's really political about racism in the
Mhm,
60s and 70s, and I sort of grew up watching him and my aunt and my uncles and my father with their racial struggles, and I feel like that somehow influenced me to want to support.
mhm.
Um, and anyway, I would have wanted to support this anyway, but
Oh,
it is
yeah.
part of my background.
Oh, that's cool.
My mother raised me primarily, and my stepfather, but they're definitely a giant influence in who I am and what I want to promote and support.
Yeah. No, that's great. I didn't know that, so I'm actually glad I asked because
Yeah,
that just shows that you can't judge somebody just by the way they look, and we do that. I mean, look at me. I
we
just
do
was
that.
I was and not that I was doing anything wrong,
Oh,
but
not at all.
but
Not at all. No.
but it's just always interesting how we tend to just look at somebody and we assume that we know their backstory, we know who they are, and
Right?
really we don't. So
Well, yeah, and it's not something I'm like, "Hey, everybody,
right, 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 right.
I'm a quarter African American," but like,
Right, exactly. Right, right, right.
but yeah, it's just part of the lens that I look through.
Mhm,
Again, I live my life as a white woman, but
mhm.
I have a colorful, beautiful family that
That's cool.
I like to support.
That's amazing. So I did wanna talk about, so you have a series called Kid Matters, is that, or
Kids matter, yeah.
Kids Matter, that's it.
Mhm.
And so can you tell us about the series? Because 'Cause I'm really intrigued by it.
Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for asking. It's kind of fun to talk about your stuff. It's just like
Yeah, right.
you're creating a space where we're talking about what we're doing. Yay!
Yeah.
um, so Kids Matter is a series that my husband and I make with a school called the Performers School. So Tarleton Dawn and the Performers School merge
Mhm,
together to make Revealing Media Group, and we make Kids Matter inside the minds of teens and tweens. And basically, it's I think we have 7 films now, 7 short films that all deal with social change with middle school, primarily middle school, and some high school kids.
mhm,
So uh, they deal with things like social exclusion, cyberbullying, depression, anxiety, underage drinking, gun control in schools. So yeah, we make, so it's part of, so it works like this. Like we have a 5-week filmmaking class that we work with the students with, and then on the last week, over like 2 days, a mad 2 days, people,
uh-huh,
all these kids running around, we shoot the movie, and then we edit it, we work with a composer and sound design, and then we come back and we have a little screening for the kids, and they love it. And these films, all of these films now, are educationally distributed
mhm.
through the US and Canada and Australia, and Europe. So they get inside classrooms and hopefully spark conversation about hard topics that the kids are facing.
That is awesome. I'm so glad I asked. It's like, wow. Oh,
I'm glad you did too.
yeah, that just, as you know, 'cause since I was an educator, the
Yeah.
and really, once you're an educator, I mean, I still have that heart for the kids, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
I just think that how cool that you are able to use the medium of film in order to and to get the kids interested in it. Because I mean, we all know that school has changed so much. Kids aren't
Oh yeah.
they're gonna if you tell them to open up a book and read read a book,
Yeah.
it's
No, it's
yeah.
I get it. And what's really cool about this project is that, you know, we'll improv ideas, and I'm the writer, but I'll be like, hey, does this dialogue sound okay? And they'll be like, no, Adria, that's old. We don't talk like that. So it's very humbling, and it's also like great because when you give them the power and say, well, what about this scene? What about this scene? Can you guys kind of improv that for me? Like when you give kids power to make something, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, they get super into it,
Yeah.
and they have such passion. It's really great to see.
Wow. So now are these films is I know that you said they're available for like educational purposes. Are there people what if you're not involved in education? Are you able to see these films?
You can definitely email me, and I'll let you see them.
Okay, that's good to know. That's really good to know. I was
Yeah, I'm happy to share them because you know we get people to go like we're with Learn 360 and
Mhm,
McIntyre Media
mhm,
and things and those types of distributors. So unless you're part of their platform or their
right,
subscription, you might not necessarily get to see them. But
right.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know because I'm intrigued, and there might be others that might be intrigued, and it would just
Yeah.
be it would be interested in seeing them just not using them, of course, but just so
Oh,
we can get the
yeah.
idea of
Oh,
the
definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I'd love to share them. Yes.
Yeah. All
And
right.
let's see, we're doing a new one coming up in April. I'm so excited to finally be back to make one because for the last couple of years COVID like
Mm,
dampered the kids
oh,
stuff.
yeah.
You know, especially with COVID, I was like, I'm not touching a bunch of
Yeah,
kids together for
exactly.
a
Yep.
little bit.
I hear
So
you.
so we're going back, and this new one's going to be on gender identity and pronouns and things
Oh,
like that.
oh, okay. Oh, the kids are gonna love that. They're gonna eat that one up. There's no, oh my goodness, that's gonna be huge because I know
Yeah,
that's
because I'm like, you know, talk to me about what you think all this is, you know?
right.
And so it's going to be good. It's going to be learning for me too.
Right. Well, and isn't that the best part about education when you're especially when you're educating youth, you learn more from them that you think you're going in there as okay, I'm going to be the teacher and I'm going to teach you these things, but you end up if you really invest yourself in them and really get to
Yeah.
know them, they teach
Yeah.
you so much more. They teach you
Oh
these
my God,
things.
they do.
I
Yeah, they do.
yeah, it's a
Kids have a bravery, a sense of like no filter and
mhm,
bravery that I'm
mhm.
just like, wow,
Yeah,
wow. Yeah.
I know.
Put
I
it in a
know.
bottle, sell it, I'll buy
Yeah, right. I
it.
know what happens when you become adults is it's like all of a sudden you start I guess because people start telling you, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't say that.
Right.
It's not the right thing to do. You can't, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My daughter is 18 and she's in her
Oh, wow.
she's in college. Yeah, yeah, she's in
Yeah.
college and studying art education and she's loving it. She's doing so well, and that's not just me talking, that's her professors are blown away by her too, which is cool.
That's
But
excellent.
but yeah, she is doing things that when I was 18 and going to college, I wouldn't have been doing then. I wouldn't have been
Oh, yeah.
there's no way I would have been doing what she's been doing. I would have just been sticking in my
Yeah.
dorm room studying, and she's going out and going on trips and doing things and
Yes.
meeting
Yes.
people. And it's like, it's just, and blows me away. And the
It's
project,
wild.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when kids like get on that train of like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make it, it's awesome. Because I know for someone like me, I'm like, thank God this crazy girl back in the day did not have a cell phone. Okay, because that's we just don't want that
right.
on this woman, you know, like this child back in the
Yeah.
day. So kids have to be really careful, and I do think you either sink or swim with all of
Yeah.
that. So congrats to your daughter. Her mama must have raised her right.
Thanks. Yeah, I did raise her right, but then she had a lot of incredible role models too. I mean, my mom was a huge part, and really even she had some great male role models as well. Since I'm a single mom, And so, yeah. Now, also in your bio, it talked about your Black Lives Matter film. Karen, is that the name of it? So,
Karen is the name.
okay. Can you tell us about that one? I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So we were all set during when the pandemic hit to go into production like a week. We were a week out to do production for Gray Area, which we can get to later. But because COVID like shut everything down, my husband and I were like, oh man, we did all this work and we can't make our movie. And then I'm watching the news and there's all of this terrible stuff happening. George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and just all this, you know, Chicago's protesting and shutting down Lakeshore Drive. And we went to a Black Lives Matter protest in my hometown in Oak Park with my son. And it was when my husband and I were walking around and holding signs and part of the community that I was like, gosh, this feels good. I want to amplify this somehow. I want to be more of a part of it. And so then we just started thinking about social change, Black Lives Matter. And so we came up with Karen, and we just shot it in my home because we didn't, you know, in my home with one actor who we shot outside and myself. And it follows the story of a woman named Karen in the suburbs, and a man is walking around, African-American man, a brilliant actor, brilliant Chicago actor, Harold Dennis, is walking around kind of looking around the neighborhood, and Karen questions his behavior and all of that. Long story short, she ends up calling the police on him. It becomes a brutal attack. And then we later find out that he was canvassing the area as a politician and walking around with, you know, those door handle things to put in people's doors. So, so we just wanted to sort of make a film that dealt with white fragility, you know, with preconceived ideas, and also that it was important in the last frame of the film to show that Karen actually feels bad and has empathy after she realizes what happens. She sees the dried blood on her sidewalk and she sees the pamphlet, and then it hits her that she called the police and she caused this. And so then that moment of empathy, I think that's the spark that can potentially start the road to change.
Right. Wow. Yeah. And that really goes to what I was saying earlier, that appearances are deceiving. We're constantly making all these judgments. You see someone dressed a certain way, looking a certain way, certain ethnicity, and we make all these instant assumptions of they're like this, they're like this, they're like this. And it's one of those things that I'm constantly having to go into. I mean, I like to think, okay, I'm not racist. I'm not, I like to think all these things and okay, so maybe I'm not racist like that person is, or like that person is, but I have to constantly be going in to my brain and thinking, what am I assuming about this person? I'm looking at this person, and I'm making an assumption, whether the media taught me that, whether my grandparents instilled that in me, whatever the case was. And
it's systemic. We have to reverse systemic racism. And it's really hard. And it's, we all do it to an extent because of how we live our lives. So all we can do is start with that awareness.
Right. Exactly. So this film, Karen, is it something that's been in film festivals, won awards, anything like that?
Yeah, it's won a bunch of stuff. It's still on the train.
Good.
Yeah, we've definitely won. Of course, I can't think of any right now. Berlin Shorts Award, Tokyo Shorts, Best Human Rights Film, Best Social Justice Film. It's played at Morehouse. It's played at LA Live. It's really done well. We're very excited and happy about it.
That's cool. So will this be available at some point for all of us to watch?
Yes, I would like to put it back up on YouTube. Again, it's also educationally distributed, and I created facilitator guides, learning guides to go with it for middle, high school and adult learning.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that that kind of spreads out even more. But yeah, I can send you Karen.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I love the fact, again, I mean, you are using every opportunity to use your work for good, to educate people. You're creating facilitator guides. You're doing all the things that, I mean, you didn't get an education degree, did you?
No, and this is something I want to share with
Okay,
everybody.
good.
Like everyone's like, well, how did you get distribution? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm like, friend, it's called research. Like, like I wish, God, I wish I had an assistant to be like,
Right.
hey, could you research education distributors and make some letters and da 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 da.
Yeah.
But really, it's just, you know, you can do anything that you put your mind to if you have the time. And if you have the desire, you learn as you go. I make mistakes every day, but I still try to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I think that yes, you can find distribution. Yes, you can write a press release. Yes, you can let your hometown know and the newspapers and all of that yourself. So I'm a big fan of doing, to learn from your mistakes, to keep going, to potentially break down a door that could maybe open. And I'll tell you this, a lot of them doors are not going to open, but when one does, it's excellent. And then it's an effect.
Yeah. So I'm hearing from you that you just have, you might have fear. I'm not going to say, because I think we all, if we say we're not afraid at all and like we're totally, then I think we're lying, because I think, I mean, we all have some kind of fear, but what you're doing is you're not letting any of those fears, any of that, keep you from pushing forward, going after those dreams, you have this idea and you're not afraid to get up there and make a mistake. I mean, yeah, it's not fun. Yeah. I mean, hey,
it's not fun. But it's, you know, like I'm a big fan, and this sounds weird, but I'm a big fan of failure.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think, well, and I wasn't for a long time, but I think you have to embrace failure. I think that's when you grow the most. Yes. You don't grow when people are like, oh my God, that was incredible. You're like, you grow when you're like, oh crap, I just totally did that wrong. Yeah. Let me learn and be better next time.
I hear you. Isn't it true? You start looking, when you can really shift that, the way you think about things, you shift your perspective, and it's like, man, if I hadn't failed back then, I wouldn't have known how to do this, or wouldn't have known how to do that. And so, yeah, I'm back in college right now too. And I remember my first term in college, I'm an A student, and when I got my first C, I actually went back and thanked the professor and said, I am so glad you gave me a C, because you actually helped me. If you wouldn't have given me that grade, I would have just been like stuck there, and I would have been thinking I was okay. But since you gave me that C, then I was able to raise the level, understand what I need, because I was, you know, here I am in my 40s going back to college. I've been in college since I was in my 20s. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So it's like, I had to think about things a little bit differently than I've been thinking about all this time. But there's that thing about making those mistakes. And then she was so great to come back, and she said, I understand what you're going through. When I was in a graduate program and getting back into school, and then I just have soared from that moment. I've just soared, and but if I hadn't had that experience, I can look back and say, man, if that professor had not marked me down on these things, I wouldn't be here.
So let's backtrack, Ruth. That's awesome that you went to college in your 40s. That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just taking one class at a time, but yes, I'm actually studying business marketing is what I'm studying. And because that goes in line with my current position, is that I'm doing a lot of that. And so yeah, but I've been enjoying it. I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I have learned so much. So it's been great. So
that's cool.
Thanks.
That's cool. I think you got to do stuff that scares you. You have to do stuff like, I will try to definitely talk myself around something. I'll be like, oh, I can't do that because blah, blah, blah. I don't have time, or
Yeah.
no, I. And then I'm like, then like a few hours later roll by, and then I talk to myself again. I'm like, you're just saying that because you're scared. And
Yeah.
you always tell people to do things that scare you. So shut up and take your own medicine, girl.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Oh yeah. Isn't that the way it is? We tell everybody else, oh yeah, go after your dreams. Don't and then
yeah,
and
do
then
it.
and then we get there and it's like, oh, I guess I
Yeah.
better take my own advice. I better actually
Yeah.
do what I
Yeah.
oh Adria, oh my goodness. We have so much in common. I never would have
Yes.
imagined we have all
Oh,
this in
good.
common. It's so cool. Wow. I'm
Cool.
glad I'm glad that we're connecting this way. I'm so
Me too.
glad. It's just so great. So tell us about your up this film that is just getting ready to
Oh
premiere.
yeah. Okay.
Tell us about it.
Gray Area.
Yes.
So Gray Area was the film we were supposed to shoot during the pandemic, but so where do I start? So I have a friend, an actor friend in Oak Park with me named Ryan Kitley. He's a great stage and screen actor, been on a bunch of stuff. And he called me up one day and was like, hey, my wife wants to make a movie and she's talking to some production people. And I just wanted to know if we could come over and talk to you guys about production and stuff. And I was like, sure, I'll answer some questions or do whatever. And I got to meet his wife, Kelly Kitley, and she talked to me more about the project and was like, I'm looking for a production company to make a short film adapted from my book that I wrote. And her book's called Myself by Kelly Kitley. And it's a great book about her journey to sobriety and about her childhood trauma and the choices we make as children and adults, and sort of how to overcome if you're sort of at a place in your life where you want some type of change, but you're not sure how to make it. So she's also, like, just to shout Kelly out, she's an amazing woman, and she's a motivational speaker. You can see her a lot on like, she's been on Dr. Oz and Drew Barrymore, and she really she's just does the good work. She's a therapist as well. So she's out there, doing the good work, helping people through recovery, helping broken marriages and things like that. So I wanted to help her, and we got to talking, and I was like, I think we can make your movie.
Yeah.
So so I read her book and loved it. And like you, Ruth, we had so many similarities that I felt really drawn to her story. So so my husband and I took on the project, and we made a just under 20-minute short film, and it's called Gray Area. And Gray Area refers to that sort of gray area of addiction, of drinking in this case, alcohol use disorder, where she had a couple of incidents that were jarring, but it wasn't like, we don't, when we think of alcoholic, we don't think of, it's not that she was drunk and homeless on the corner, she couldn't hold a job. No, this woman is type A, highly successful, totally manages her time, but she just decided, like, I think I'm better not drinking. And so the film focuses on how, we as a society amplify this mom wine culture. Wine time is fine time with me, and all this. And so we look at that. We look at childhood trauma. This is also a woman who was she's raising 4 kids. She's a full-time therapist. She's a speaker. And just the juggle of life that people can feel, the pressure to perform, to peak perform in so many different ways. So we throw a little bit of postpartum in there. Anxiety. And then, it's a hopeful movie. I think it ends hopefully, a little edge, a glimmer of hope that when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you have childhood trauma, when you're dancing with addiction, that you can come out of it.
Wow. Oh, wow. That sounds phenomenal. That sounds really, wow. Your films, I am so excited to start watching your films. I'm so excited. I'm really excited. I'm like, wow.
You don't have to love them. It's okay.
Well, I'm sure though that that even if I don't declare them as my all-time favorite film, I have a feeling that I'll be watching them with the intent to learn something and to be stimulated, and I'll see them in that light. And so I just have a whole different filter when I'm watching films like that anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, the whole drinking thing is so relatable in
Yeah.
America.
Yes.
The habit, the habitual drinking, especially during COVID, it's peaked.
True.
So, and mental illness and all this. So hopefully people will find it relatable. And so tomorrow we're having my husband and I are on a filmmaker panel at the New York Socially Relevant Film Festival to talk about Gray Area. It's having its world premiere with them this month, or next month. So
right. Wow. That's just amazing. I am and well, it sounds like this could be a film. Well, this will hopefully be a film that will be very impactful. It's not, I find it interesting. It's not so much targeted at young people, but now it's moms. Which is cool.
So that's what was also very appealing to me. Just in full transparency, I'm sober. And I think that art imitates life, art, imitates life. And so it was such a reflection. I wanted to really delve in as a 47-year-old woman. I wanted to tackle that myself. So it was good.
Okay. So we're the same age.
See, Ruth, we're twins.
I know. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, whoa.
Wait, when's your birthday?
Okay. June
what?
13th.
Okay, my sister's is June 3rd. I'm May 24.
Oh my goodness, but that's still close. That's just wild. That's just wild. I'm like, no way. How does this happen? You're not your sister. I know. Adria, I know you're not really my sister, but you could be my. We can definitely act like sisters from this
good
on. So that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, we have made a connection. There's no doubt. Very, very serendipitous. I believe this is very, very, very much so.
Yes.
So I know that my audience members that there are going to be some who would like to ask some questions, and and so let me see. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to put my mom on first because she's got her hand up. She knows all the this.
So I just have, when you go back to your Annie days, I want to know, did you have a Sandy that stood 3 feet high?
No.
I made Ruth. I said Martha. I made Ruth a Sandy that was 3 feet high, and with a little red dress. I have her sit exactly in her curly perm, and Sandy sitting beside her. I have a picture of a chair sitting on top of our dining room table, and there's Ruth at 5 or 6, something like that. Sandy sitting beside her, little orphan Annie.
Oh my God! I just was
curious. Yeah, no. I'm gonna have to dig that out. I was just curious if you had a Sandy also.
I didn't. I didn't. I would have loved one, but I want to see that photo when we do the film exchange for sure. The only thing I got to do Annie related was when I was in college, we had to go through a musical theater class. So I got to be Mrs. Hannigan, and all the classmates ran out with Cabbage Patch dolls and things like that. But I never got the awesome big doll.
Okay, I was just curious. I had to know. And you were welcome into our family. Welcome to our family.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
My mom is well known in this online community. She has lots of adopted daughters, so she has a lot that go around and call her mom, call her Mama Neva. I mean, there's all sorts of things. So
that's great.
She's definitely made a lot of connections here. Okay, so I know Paula Cooley had a question. All right.
Hello.
I
have a lot of film questions because we don't really get a chance to. They're always actors or you know what, and so I'll shut up if anybody else wants to ask questions. I got questions. I got a book full. So
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
first I have to say is my husband graduated from Champaign, Illinois High School.
which one? Like from Champaign or from? Oh,
Champaign.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Central or Centennial?
My father-in-law, this was way, way before your time. My father-in-law was principal.
Oh my gosh.
So that's
That
a long
is a
time
small
ago.
world.
Yeah. So what I want to know is, I have a daughter. My grandson has a girlfriend who's studying film
Mhm.
right now at the University of Miami,
Nice.
and she's always trying to raise money, and she's
yeah.
written and directed and film, and my grandson is learning to be an extra very fast, and
Oh,
carrying
great.
the cameras and the booms and everything else like
Yes.
that. But what is you said several times a film short? What makes a film a short?
Oh, it's the length. So instead of a full feature, like an hour and a half movie or whatever, shorts are like, I would say most of them are 20 minutes and under.
Okay. All right. And then it said that you were an executive producer. Now, what is involved in that? I mean,
Yeah, that is a great question. So executive producer would mean that they have it's up there with like executive producer and creator. They often have like similar duties, which means that they're running the whole show. So like as a boutique sort of mom and pop production company, I like to call us. My husband and I are executive producers on everything that we work on because we want full creative control. So that means that we produce, that means we cast, that means we edit, that means we shoot, that means I'm directing actors on set, that means I write. So now that doesn't mean that every executive producer does all those things. But in indie film, you'll find that there's a lot of blurring of the lines in roles like that. But typically an EP is up there with the creator, meaning that they're wearing many hats that include producing, directing, editing, writing.
now you said that they're called independent films. How do you go about financing them? Because that's what Elena found very hard to, because she had to come up with her own GoFundMe page or something.
Why, yes, definitely. That's a great question. So, well, it depends on the project. Like when we make Kids Matter, the students from the school pay for the course. So
Okay.
for that, that's how we're funded. And for me, I get paid some, but I'm doing this because I'm feeling it, right? So, but there is a stipend we get. We have to stay within that budget to make the film, and that includes all of the posts, the screening, all the props, all the costumes, my crew. Everyone has to work within those confines. With Gray Area, Kelly Kitley fundraised the entire film. So I think it was a budget of around 40,000, and she came up with all of the money. So that to me was great because I couldn't, because I'm executive producer, I can't do anything but all of those things. So I was like, you in charge of fundraising, it's her project. She owns the rights to the film. So she raised all of the money. And as far as like Karen was made on a very, very small budget because we shot it in our house and there was 2 actors. And so, I'm SAG-AFTRA, I'm a member of the union, so I have to follow those guidelines, but there are contracts available through your local SAG-AFTRA Screen Actors Guild union that are very malleable and flexible in terms of using union talent. There's also other platforms, like we have a feature right now we're trying to raise a ton of money for. If anybody has $2 million, so, just throw always $2 million, I'll take it. But we're gonna have to. We're looking into finding investors, looking into where people have money. I think the biggest mistake that people can do when they're fundraising for a film is only looking at their immediate network. Yes, we'll get money from mom and dad, but we need to reach outside networks of people that have, the big money.
Yeah.
So how you do that is usually through your different layers of your network, your close people, your friends, your acquaintances, and it's through that whole strand of network that you can potentially find an investor. But largely it comes down to Indiegogo campaigns and GoFundMe and all of that. So it's a lot of self-raising, but I think that there is validity in trying to find investors.
And then is it hard to get, or how do you get your film into a film festival?
This is a great question. So there is a site that a lot of filmmakers use called Film Freeway. And it's like a organized database of a lot of film festivals are on there. Not all of them, but a lot of film festivals are on there, filmfreeway.com. And you go in there and you make a profile for your film. You have posters, stills, the film, a description about it, people attached to it. And then once you get that organized onto the Film Freeway site, you can just go in and look at all the different festivals, and you could put in Chicago festivals and they'll all pop up. You could put Los Angeles, you could put comedy, and then they all pop up. Some are free. The majority of them cost money to submit per festival. Once your film starts getting into festivals, you sometimes can get coupon codes that festivals send you to break the cost, sometimes upwards of 60% off. But the festival submissions can vary anywhere from free to like, $70 or something around there. So you want to make sure that you target the film festivals that you think that your film could actually potentially get into. So like, for example, for me, when I make a film, I'm hitting hard the brand of social change. Thusly, the New York Socially Relevant Festival is screening our film, right? I've also been in horror films where you look in that genre, horror film festivals. But if your film has a brand or tags or topics that are catchy and that you can put in there, I think it helps you cater to which festival you would enter.
So like if a festival you submit it to a festival and they get like maybe hundreds of short films.
Yeah, they do.
How did you, I'm gonna say lucky, but how did you find out that you got chosen? I mean, were you thrilled to death? I mean,
I am. I think too, I'm glad you're asking me this, because I have to remind myself that like it is great to get into festivals, because I've been making films for so long now. When I get in, I'm like, oh, good, but like it really is lucky to get into to some, and again, like with anything, there are A-level film festivals, there are B, C, D level film festivals, meaning nobody goes, it's super small. There's also like A, B, C, D agents, like there's levels to every type of work out there. So, you have to look at the festival that you're in. And if you're a new filmmaker, that's great. And you can build up your level of festival submissions and hopefully get into bigger and bigger ones as you go. Or you could be an excellent filmmaker out of the gate and your film just happens to get into Sundance or Cannes, it really just depends. But having said all that, your relative that's going to be into film, I would say, make that film with high production value, and a great story, get feedback from their peers, their teachers, their mentors. And then if they think the film is in a good enough shape and they've gotten great feedback and all of that, then submit it to, aim high, because you never know what will happen.
Right.
Well, they're in the editing room right now. So
that's cool. Great.
They're excited. And then my last question, you mentioned also that you were an on-camera acting teacher. How are you doing that? How is it like? Do people sign up or read your ad that you have, or are they schools that are getting a hold of you?
Yeah. So again, great question. Thank you. So one of the places I work at is a school called Acting Studio Chicago, and that's been around for 40 some years. So they are a known organization, and so the people can just sign up for that. And then in my classes that I teach there, I have like 12 students per class. so it doesn't get too big and all of that. So they handle getting the students in. And then with the kids series, the performer school gets the kids in. And again, I'm still promoting on social media and helping to spread the word too. Right. But that's how those happen. But this is my studio in Oak Park right now. Yeah. And this is the top floor of my home. And I coach people a lot in here for pilots and TV shows and things like that. And that is just word of mouth. So I've never advertised.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, I thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
Fellow redhead.
All right. We got another Ruth here.
Ruth.
Yes, I know Ruth Rudy though. She's pretty cool.
Hello.
Hi. I just have a question about your childhood. Growing up, I grew up in a mixed culture, Native Americans. 3 of my sisters are half Native, and I saw firsthand the prejudice. I live in Minnesota, and you're enrolled in the Chippewa, Minnesota Chippewa tribe. But how did you resolve some of that? Even now, I mean, we would go to the powwows and we would participate in their culture with them, and they're part of the family. But the prejudice is, I'm so thankful it's changing, but there is still something that's really difficult for me with that. And I was wondering, would you ever make a movie like that with other cultures or ethnicities?
Yeah, I'm always interested in the ongoing racial prejudices of all types of people. Yeah, growing up, it was interesting. So there's things like that I remember like it was yesterday. And it's just the world we live in. But yeah, I would say that, many different types of memories have affected me throughout my childhood. And I think that the only thing to do with those is to somehow turn them into good or amplify them for others to learn from. So yeah. But yeah, I definitely am interested in continuing that. That type of work.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Oh my goodness. All right, Veronica.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Ruth, thank you so much for doing this. You're an angel. You're the best. Thank you. Hi, Aria. My name is Veronica Robles. I'm from Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for doing this. This is just incredible that coming on here to tell us everything that the entertainment industry. It's really hard, but you know what? You've given us, something to think about. We have to keep going, no matter what the obstacles we have to go through, the good, the bad, and the not so great. But thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I have 2 quick questions. My first question is, what were your memories on Popular? I used to watch that show all the time, Popular. I love that show. You were awesome. What were your memories on that show? And then who would you want to, if there was a movie made about your life story, who would you want to play? Who would be the actress to play you?
Oh, wow. These are great questions, Veronica. Okay. Well, Popular, to be honest, started off as I went in for like a co-star role, like that could maybe recur. It started off as just a few lines, and then the role built over 2 years.
Wow.
Which was great, and I was lucky. And I remember meeting Ryan Murphy, and he caught me laughing one time in the lockers on the WB lot. He's like, "Why are you laughing?"
Wow.
And I'm like, I just thought of this idea where I could, what if I was stalking Carmen or whatever, and then he listened to me, and then he was excited that I was excited, and I think that sort of helped bring me back on the episodes. Honestly, my memories are, I have one great memory I can share. There's one episode where my character was a real geeky high school nerd. And in one episode, we fast forward to the future, and they make my character April Tuna like super famous and she's successful and she's fashionable, totally different from high school. And I remember walking on the back lot of the WB, and they had transformed this back lot into Tunaville, and it had an archway and it had a whole street made for my role. And I felt so humbled and so lucky that I was witnessing it. And so that to me was an incredible memory that I'll just never forget.
Well, I love the show. I was sad they should not have canceled the show.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was sad. I was like, darn it. I mean, going through school, it's really tough, being a kid, trying to fit in, and bullying, in education, it's really hard. Myself I took the risk at age 30 years old to go to college.
Yeah.
At 30 years old, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, do I belong here?
Yeah.
Having all those insecurities and stuff. But you know what? I'm doing really good right now. I've been a college student since 2016. I work as a part-time administrator for college prep, helping students since 2019. But you know what? I thank God for the people around me, to tell me to keep going no matter what.
Yes.
Even with everything that's going on in this world, we have to keep going.
We do, Veronica. That's super important. And I think, the fact that you work with students and things too is great. So good for you for doing the work.
Thank you.
Yeah. The answer to your other question, who would play me? I'm a big fan of Julianne Moore.
Yes.
I think she's great. I would say for me that I would want whoever played me to be a woman that's not a teen, because I feel like the industry has a lot of ageism. And so I would want someone to represent me as a woman that as my age now, and we can have somebody younger play my younger self, but I definitely want that.
No, you guys are we're all youngsters. Even when we get older, we're all youngsters. I can tell you that.
Right?
Mom is 65 years old. She just turned 65 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I told her, Mom, you're a youngster. We're all youngsters.
We are young at heart. Yes. And it's also too, like, it's okay to age,
That's right.
like
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Thank you both tremendously. And please come back. And congratulations on your projects. Many success. I wish I had the $2 million to give you. I wish I did. I would love to give you the $2 million.
Thank you.
But if you do, I cannot wait to see what you have upcoming projects. And congratulations and God bless you guys. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Veronica's incredible. I know. Yeah. Okay. There's one last question that I think it's a great way to end it. Amy Porter, who she can't come on camera right now, but she has a question. So what would you say are your strengths in life?
That's a deep question.
I know. Great way.
Thank you, Amy, for pulling that out. What are my strengths? Well, I would say, it's weird to talk about your strengths, but
I know.
I would say that I'm a hard worker, and I think that I'm not going to let myself down by not putting in the work to get something done. So I think that comes from my mother, Claire. She raised me on her own until I was 16 with my older sister, and she would work multiple jobs to take care of us. So I think that, growing up with someone who was also sort of a fighter and would not stop working until she was able to, that sort of influenced me. So I'm a hard worker. And I think being an actor comes from Annie, but also from, I like to observe people. And I think when you observe and when you listen, I think it helps raise empathy and awareness. So maybe somebody might not understand why someone is behaving some way, but I think that one of my strengths could be at times an ability to observe and listen and empathize with somebody who you might not necessarily do that for.
Wow.
So yeah. I would say that. And I'm goofy. I think humor is fun. I like to be very silly, and I'm kind of a nut. So I think that's a strength too.
Okay. And we just have one really quick question. I think Valerie will be fast here since she's from Africa. She doesn't usually get a chance to do these. So I want to make sure that I give her the opportunity. So go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you, Ruth. Adria, I was not at the tonight. It's a Caesar ceremony from in France. I was not there, but I think you have the Caesar from the gentleness, from the humility, generosity, and really, I had a really beautiful moment. I'm sorry, I'm French, so
oh no,
that's my accent, but really, I love this. And you were adorable. You were very natural, and you are a beautiful model for all the women who are here. And thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for being who you are.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you guys, I'm going to take all this good juju, this good energy, and I'm going to keep it for when I'm having a dark day.
That's right. That's what I love about these podcasts and having this audience, and we're all so positive. It's such a great feeling to not only have you as a guest, Adria, but to have this audience that just so much positive energy. And
I can't thank you enough for having me, and thank you to each of you for listening and being a part of this. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you as well. And if you guys want to unmute and thank Adria as we're signing off here, go for it.
Adria. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Adria.
Thank you, Ruth.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. And thank you. Have a great weekend, all.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Well, where do I begin? Now that we're at the end of this phenomenal episode, Adria touched me in so many ways. I mean, not only are we evidently long-lost sisters, which was news to my mom, but we have so much in common, and she's incredibly inspiring. Look at the work she's doing. She just keeps going. She has a dream, she has a vision, and she goes for it, and nothing holds her back. Even from Annie being an inspiration to her. I mean, we're definitely soul sisters. There's no doubt about that. So I just hope that this particular episode inspired you and touched you in the way that it did me. That's why I do this. I love to bring people on just like Adria. And my hope and prayer would be that you've listened to her and you've decided, yes, I'm going to jump in and do something. I'm going to go for my dreams. It is possible. Well, now that we're at the end of this episode, I just want to let you know there are more wonderful episodes coming up. If you enjoyed today's episode, please, would you do me a favor? Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, rate and review, please. If you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up, subscribe. I'd love it. Let me know what you think. Please join the Facebook group. Wouldn't you like to be like some of these people who come on and ask questions? There's some beautiful people who come on and ask questions. Just like you. This community, you guys have made this podcast what it has become. Media from the heart. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about my beautiful, amazing, inspirational guests. So please, what I would love to hear from you is that you listened today and that you went out and did something for you. You took that risk. You stopped putting off that dream that's in your heart. Do it, people. I never would have believed I'd be doing a podcast. Look at me now. Well, no matter where you are in the world, God bless you. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll see you on another episode of Media from the Heart.